Using silicone style products in your mosaic can be a bit of a love-hate relationship because of the residue that it can leave behind on top of your tessera if you happen to get some on it. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you a very easy way on how to remove that residue and without using any solvents. And I'm going to show you that right now. Right, now I've got my piece of clear glass and I've got my SOLUBLE fix-all, and I'm just going to put some of that on this top of this plastic container. Put the cap on so it doesn't dry it out a bit. And then I'm not really too concerned about covering all of the bottom of the tessera with this SOLUBLE. I know if I don't do that, I'm going to get grout bleed, but this is an experiment not on the grout bleed, but this is an experiment on seeing if the silicone, I can wipe this straight off the top of this tessera when I am finished. Because as we know, when you're using any silicone type products, although SOLUBLE is not a silicone, or this fix-all is not a silicone, it still works very similar to a silicone. And it will leave a residue there unless you get it off. And we all know that sometimes removing residue from silicone or similar products can be quite difficult at times the longer you leave it. So all I'm going to do is now just paint this on to the glass. And I'm then just going to adhere some of these squares down. I'm not being too fussy about it. I'm just going to adhere them down. You don't need too much of this. I'm applying it probably a little bit thick, but that's okay. This is just an experiment. Because what I'm looking for is see if I put a bit of silicone on the top there like that, see if I can get it off at a later date. Okay, that's pretty good. Now what I'm going to do is put a bit of silicone on my finger, or not silicone, adhesive, SOLUBLE. You know how we tend to get a bit of residue on these things and we hate it? Well, I'm just duplicating it. Now hopefully I will be able to take that off and we'll find out. So what I'm going to do now is leave it for a few days, and then I'm going to come back and grout it. Now, as I said, I'm not too concerned about getting any grout underneath these pieces because this is not what the project's about. This is about seeing if the silicone will just wipe off with what I have in mind. And of course, if it does, that will be a success. And if it doesn't, well, you probably won't get to see this video. Now, something I do need to point out is do not use your finger to apply silicone or Sidal Fix-All or anything onto a piece of tessera or your substrate. I'm only just demonstrating that in this video to show you that sometimes if things get messy, that you do actually get silicone or Sidal Fix-All onto your tessera. It's been a few days now and I'm ready to do this. Now this is going to be a very interesting test. So what I've got here is the stained glass pieces that have been adhered down with Sidal Fix-All. I'm now going to put a damp cloth over the top and just kind of push lightly. And I'm going to let that sit for probably a few minutes. There you go. So I'm going to let that sit for a few minutes, maybe 5-10 minutes, and then we'll come back and see what's happened underneath this. Okay, let's look at this and see if anything has happened underneath the blue cloth. Nope, just wet. Now I'm going to put this on top of this because it's a little bit gritty underneath and this will stop the scratching sound. Okay, it doesn't seem to have done any change except it's just a bit moist, so now I'm going to rub. Now there's silicone there and silicone there, so let's rub that. And the silicone comes off. Let's rub there. There's the silicone. Look, it's peeling off. So the piece where I spread silicone on, that silicone is coming off. It's just peeling off. Look at it. There you go. Well, it's actually not silicone. Keep that in mind. That's actually Sidal Fix-All. But this process would probably work if you use silicone as well. Look at that. It's really good. Look, there's some there. Gone. There's some more there. Gone. Just wipe that away. And it's always good to use a cloth that's not going to come apart like this type of cloth, but this is all I've got at the moment and I need to get more. Just turn that over, give that a bit of a bang, because there's bits of fluff coming off this. Okay, now I'm going to dry this. More silicone, we'll take that off. Or Sidal Fix-All, I should say, not silicone. There you go. Try and remove that and put something white behind it. There you go. I think you can see that better now. As you can see, there's no silicone or no traces of Sidal Fix-All on that at all. Not that I can see anyway. So I'd have to say this experiment has proved to be a success. Now what did I do? Now all I did for this project was I just coated the top of the stained glass in a Weldbond wash. And all I used was around about 50-50 of water and Weldbond. Now, of course, I'll put a link up the top of the screen here, somewhere there, so that you can go to a video that I did on creating a Weldbond wash. And of course, people have their own different formulas or their ratios of Weldbond and water, but mine is approximately 50-50. So that's all I did. I coated the glass, and then all I'm going to do now is just cut this glass into just smaller pieces, and then I'm going to adhere that down with some Sidal Crystal Clear Fix-All. Well, I hope that video clip has explained what I did, and certainly it's a very easy process to do. Now, if you're looking at trying this out on your piece, as always, I suggest that you do a test sample first, especially if you're going to be using a different type of adhesive. So anyway, I hope you've taken something away from this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any comments, put them down in the bottom of the comment section on the YouTube channel. I'll be interested in having a read. Perhaps you're already doing this, or perhaps you've got a better idea on how to remove silicone type residue from your tessera. And I'll see you in the next video. Enjoy.